Hi everyone, I'm Liz, and I'm here to help you with the Healthy Body Mindset Program. It's about diet and exercise, yes, but the upshot of it all is living in a healthy body. So for the first part of today's program, what I wanted to talk about was the ACE test. How did we get here? How did we get to this point? For each of us, it's been a different journey for everybody, right? But what we all have probably more likely than not in common is a higher ACE score than the average person. What the heck is an ACE score? Well, it's a test that doctors came up with in the 1990s. Some doctors from Kaiser Medical Center were doing some research to try to help people who were resistant to diet and exercise. So people who were in their diet program who were overweight and unable to keep the weight off. And they figured that there was probably some kind of an emotional thing behind it based on what the patients themselves were reporting. So they asked them a series of questions and eventually developed a questionnaire from it. Now the problem is that most people haven't heard of it yet because doctors would basically be passing patients off to psychologists, because what they found was that childhood trauma impacts us later in life. So as part of the first class, I'll be sending out a copy of the ACE test for each of us. Adverse childhood experiences are things like breaking a bone before the age of 18, having death, job loss. The ACE test is talking about the adverse effects that we've had from different childhood experiences. When things go wrong and there's nobody there to really help us frame our emotional experience of an event, it becomes a trauma. If people are there who understand how to reach us emotionally and lead us from the depths of our despair, then that can become a positive experience for us, something that causes growth. Not something that we would choose, but something that causes growth. So instead, these adverse childhood experiences, when we don't know what's going on and we have to basically frame our own understanding, what ends up happening is we have to frame our own experience. And it's basically our child mind leading our child body. We develop compensations that lead us to things like an increased chance of becoming overweight, an increased chance of chronic illness, an increased chance of drug use, alcohol use, school absenteeism, job absenteeism. And I can tell you, in my personal experience, it's also led to increased just general illness, catching colds more frequently. Since doing a lot of emotional healing work on myself, the energetic healing, I am much healthier on a daily basis. I catch far fewer colds per year. I haven't been on antibiotics for sinus infection in 11 years, whereas before I was on them about 6 to 8 times per year because I had chronic illness, constant chronic sinusitis. So our adverse childhood experiences are with us every day of our lives until we deal with them. And that's the important thing for me to tell you here, is that they're not something to be worried about. They are something to be seen, understood, brought into the light, and to be able to say to oneself, wow, look at what I've been through. And how could I have done any differently? There's no way that child us could have done any different. We were just getting by. We were just coping. And so I just want to take a moment here to have you kind of tune into your body and maybe close your eyes if you're up for it. I'm going to close mine to encourage you. And just really drop in. Just, both feet on the ground, just taking a deep breath and sighing it out. Connecting into that little one still within. And need of your love and your acceptance, who needs you to forgive him or her, to send love, and to let him or her know that you're here to guide her or him for these next 8 sessions and for the rest of your life with love, with respect, with dignity, and with increased understanding. That really this subconscious and unconscious part of ourselves is something that's been trying to save our lives every day. And it can't understand until we let it learn that the old days are gone and that what worked as children to help us survive is now no longer serving us. And part of that area that no longer serves us is the food compensations. Just send it love and let it know that there will be guidance and that it will be able to do some learning every one of these sessions, and that it too will feel comforted and safe and ready to proceed a little bit more every time. Alrighty, so you can open your eyes. So then the next thing is about family of origin. In our family of origin, there were lots of rules for us to follow. And the thing is, we're still following them. So in our family of origin, we often had to stay small, or we had to be unheard in order to survive. And in order to survive, those rules get written into our subconscious and they become an automatic program. And that doesn't stop, no matter how old we get, until we do subconscious and unconscious work. Now, part of being unseen and unheard means limiting activity. So for example, if you're born into a family like my mother was, where both of her parents had polio, when you're born into a family like that, every time you move, your parents are potentially going to freak out because they can't catch up to you and they can't protect you. So it naturally means that you're going to limit your movement because of that. Now, perhaps you were born into a family where you had older parents, potentially the same thing. You get the feedback from mirror neurons that are echoing their distress at your actions. And so there's limiting of self as a result of that. Now, all of this is stewing around because we can't have access to it, because it's way more than the conscious mind is in charge of. We have plenty to do just trying to survive in the daily world, right? And the unconscious and the subconscious have been doing all sorts of work behind the scenes. So again, I'm a huge fan of thinking of the subconscious as a friend that we're just getting to know. It's in charge of what we can know when we can know it. And so I just encourage you to be constantly telling yourself how much you love yourself, all layers of yourself, how much you appreciate the work that's been done for you and is continued to be done for you by the subconscious and the unconscious, and know and trust that it will all unfold in exactly the right way at exactly the right time, that you are in the perfect place and perfect time to start addressing this. So that said, I have come up with a goal for today that I will start working on. And, in general, I encourage you to send me an email, text me any questions that you have so that you can get them answered at the start of the next class. That's what I'll do. I'll have, from here on out, any questions, I will go through them and answer them to the best of my ability. And then we'll go into the teaching for the next class, and then I'll do the clearing. Oh, and then to specifically get to how that minimizing movement then echoes throughout your whole life. As a child, you're minimizing movement to be safe. You get the message, you are going to dart out in front of a car or something like that, or cross the street without looking, without holding mom and dad's hand. And so you start to hold back on movement, seeing movement as dangerous in the subconscious level. Or even, like I was incredibly clumsy as a child, and it just got to be kind of humiliating and painful to always have scabs on my knees, and so that as well could be something that holds one back. But having that kind of programming in the background, then anytime we want to attempt to start an exercise program, you and I know it's for our health, but that fear is bubbling up underneath again, right? So it's working against what we would want to have for our highest and best good. It will be something that we address here. So I'll go ahead and read the goal now. Even though I have experienced adverse childhood events, I forgive myself for any habits, urges, and impulses that I have developed as a way to comfort myself, compensate for, or control my environment, and I take back my power. I empower all parts of myself to support healthy food choices and quantities, healthy exercise choices and quantities, and healthy free time choices and quantities. All right, so this is what I'm going to do the balance on, and let me just go ahead and check into that, checking in the group energy body. So there's some emotion. Alrighty, so this is 448. Let me just go ahead and look that up. So 448, that is obsessive, and it's an unconscious emotion. So that means it's going around underneath the surface. Probably you never had an opportunity to really tune into that. It's just been taken out of your conscious mind, typically, and that's in order to protect you, and also it can be to limit your success if you are getting too close to it, so that the unconscious and the subconscious are uncomfortable. And just here on out, I'm just going to probably just be saying subconscious, meaning that whole, like everything below the surface of the iceberg, below the ocean surface, the conscious mind being the tip of the iceberg, just to simplify things. If we are doing things that are outside of the comfort zone of what was allowed as a child, and this is something that is called the upper limit problem by Dr. Gay Hendricks, who's written a bunch of books, and this concept is in his book, The Big Leap. And we can all, as we are trying to take this particular big leap of having a shift in mindset, part of what is needed to get through is to learn the feeling of what obsessive feels like in our body, allowing the feeling in so it doesn't come in through food choices or quantities, for example, but also that the body no longer, because we're working with it, no longer needs to hold us back by controlling our behavior in certain ways that bring up things that would limit us, like maybe we overeat and then we feel ashamed, and so we're kept small, we're kept down. And these are all attempts by the body to make sure that we don't have traumatizing things happen to us again. Where, like, as children, perhaps I don't know about you, but I sure did, we're told multiple times through my childhood that such and such a behavior was egotistical, and with, a whole bunch of like frowning and scolding and all that kind of stuff. So I had to learn how to be meek and, not seek the limelight in order to be in my family. It's then something to overcome in order to become able to take your rightful place in the world, to be able to share your rightful gifts that need sharing with the world. So we're not doing this out of egotism, we're doing this out of growth and giving back and being able to be worthy of what our souls had asked of us to be here right now, working through all of this. We want to help other people, we want to help ourselves, to advance. Whatever gives back, right? Whatever is good for us all is good for us individually, to try to work through. So let's go ahead, and this is completely at your own pace. I hold the acupressure points here, and the idea is that it creates a container for you to be able to get in touch with your body safely. When you feel like you've had enough of the sensation, you disengage. You can imagine that you're just testing a drop. If you're scared of emotions like I was, you just stay there for a moment, and then if you need to, what I used to do is dissociate. It's a, hey, it's a skill. It's a necessary skill. When things get to be too much, to be able to kind of tune out and get sleepy, and it's a comfort, actually. You don't want to stay there forever. You'll see as we go through the sessions that you are able to stay with the sensation longer. But it's something very much that you need to set exactly what your boundaries are, and just disengage. Think of a safe place that's beautiful. Maybe it's a beach in Hawaii or something like that, and you can see and hear the waves out there, and it's looking beautiful. You have safety, right? So meanwhile, you can imagine now and send permission to your body. And I close my eyes when I do this. Send permission to your body to allow you this sensation of obsessiveness. And then as it does so, let it know that you love it and you thank it. And if that's as deep as you want to go, that's great. But it is an opportunity for a spring cleaning. So within your body, these neurochemicals are inflammatory in quantity, and inflammation can lead to disease. So why not do a little spring cleaning if you feel safe? And just notice if you want to continue the sensations that are happening in your body. Not just the feeling of obsessiveness that you might have noticed, but also you might feel things like hot or cold, numbness or tingling, pressure or ease. You might feel discomfort, as it's possible that a type of tissue in your body called fascia is rearranging itself through your observation. And this is healthy, normal, and we are excited if it happens. It is the opportunity to get rid of excess dense fascia that forms through thoughts and emotions, basically overthinking and overfeeling, but not ever learning. And it also happens from repeated injuries as well. So if it can rearrange, it might have had a hold on a nerve that's just now getting proper blood flow again as it releases, and so that can then start twinging and sending you signals of ouch, and it's normal and it's okay and it will ease. And if it doesn't, then it's an unrelated thing that you should obviously seek some medical help with if it continues. But for the purposes of just a minute or two of twinging, it's most likely just this nerve thing that can happen. And take a deep breath in and sigh it out. Great. And there's another motion. This one is voracious. Voracious. So again, this is, thank you, body, for helping us work through that. This is also an unconscious emotion. So think of the sensation. For a lot of us, it can be a trigger to eat. And so in this moment, it might not feel very safe to feel that feeling. Remember that the body now, when you pay attention to it and you give it its food for learning, which for conscious minds is thought, and really for the unconscious, it's more feeling, is how it does its learning. So you are giving it something, it wants to release some hold that it's had on you. And what it's doing by doing that is saying, hey, I no longer need this hidden way that I was controlling you. So with that said, remember it was using these tactics to try to save your life. And it's easy to kind of gang up on the subconscious in order to be upset that we've been manipulated. But in reality, remembering that there are two sides to every story, there are two parts to every human. There are ways in which we needed to have this in order to survive our childhood. And now we're in the moment where we can start to shift into our true selves and raise our vibration, and we can leave this behind. But as a wise mentor of mine once said, is on the other side of emotions lies our power. And it doesn't mean we can step over them. It means we have to actually feel them, because the subconscious is never going to let them go until it learns. You could say that we're here more to have the opportunity to feel all sorts of emotions, good and bad, as the true way that the soul can up-level. This seems to me to be the truth, that that the emotional learning is something that's not easy to do out of the body, and only when we're immersed in the body can we do this type of learning that helps grow the soul. So it's kind of like shore leave for the soul to be in a body. It can be really hard to be in the body and experience these emotions. They seem like storms in the ocean. But it's an opportunity to learn how to surf the waves of emotion that come through our lives, so that we're not swamped by the wave. We gain ease and joy. If you've ever seen a surfer, they love the waves. Life, having gone through a lot of this and starting off being completely emotionally terrified, and now there's always learning in the waves that come through, and they're calmer. They are much more navigable, and life is so much easier than it ever was before. So I hope that you will join me now as we tell the body, please send us this feeling, the feeling of being voracious. And this is again another unconscious emotion, so I'm holding the combination of points and letting the body know that it's safe. We won't think angry thoughts about it, and that we love it for trying to send us these feelings. And just by focusing on the sensation, we stop yucking its yum. And by that I mean our dislike of the emotional sensation prevents it from being able to learn. So we are feeding its yum. Letting it do its work. And just continuing to tune in to all of the sensations in the body. They are our friends right now. And the truth is, they always are. Okay, so those are the two emotions for today. And I'm just checking some other things that are going on, and I'll explain what I'm doing, because it's important to know that part of what the body is doing in trying to learn in sending us feelings that we're pushing away. We're pushing them away because two reasons. The primitive brain is threatened by them. That's the brainstem. It's threatened by them. It acts as the same, whether it's an internal or an external event. It thinks of it all the same way. Either it's safe or it's dangerous, and it thinks of negative emotions as dangerous. So it's trying to avoid these sensations, and it is part of what is making us want to withdraw from the feelings. And then there's the conscious mind, which, you and I know that if we have a feeling of voraciousness, we can't get through our day. We're going to stop, and we're probably going to eat too much, right? So we need to disengage from it typically, right? We would normally never allow the feeling. But it could be anything. It's just any kind of feeling. We have to get through meetings, we have to get through dinners, we have to get through relationships, of all types, right? So we need to make a living, and we shut stuff down in order to be able to exist in the world. It's just important that every night we tune in with ourselves and be able to connect in and allow what the body needs to feel to be felt. So and I'll just stop and say that you can put a hand over right below your collarbone and a hand on your forehead, and the combination is a relaxing thing for the mind. It helps to get rid of shock from the mind and body. And if you think of it, when something really horrendous happens, people will go like that, or people will go like that. This is a subconsciously known thing, right? That in some way we're trying to balance. So let's bring them together. And that can be a little homework thing for you to play with, that at night or in the morning, if you want to just calm yourself down before you head out to work or before you go to sleep, that you do that for just a few minutes. But to get back to what the body will do, is the body is really smart. It does not want us to do what it doesn't want us to do. It's trying to keep us safe. So in addition to having these feelings that are happening beneath the surface, it also does other things. It disengages us from the meridian system, from the chakra system. It keeps us from being able to have a high enough vibration to allow things to the energy to come in that would fuel the thing that it's trying to prevent. So the goal that I read to you is a stressor to the subconscious and unconscious. If I just read that goal and I didn't do the energy work, then you would have unconscious stress from it. In order to get complete with getting back to being centered after reading the goal and doing the emotional clearing, I have to then reset the chakras that have been impacted and the meridians that have been impacted, any kind of stress points. So I look through that, and then we integrate inner children, and I look for any negative energies that are activated and clear those. And so a combination of all of that allows for the work that we did here today to be integrated and function together. Alrighty, so the next thing I'm checking is stress points. Okay, so there's 10 items. So what I'm doing here is locking those points that need to be fixed into my frame in order to then interact with them and clear them. And I interact with them by resetting the chakra that's impacted. And that's, let's find out the level. So it's at the corridor level. It's for the chakra 4.7, which is slightly above the thymus. And it is so we're sending in energy to this point on each of you as you watch this video, asking for the universe, God, whatever you call your higher power. And for all of the atheists who are connecting here, it is completely part of the expanded ability of the human mind, in your case, that you can receive this energy. Okay, so that is complete. And then I'm going to integrate some inner children. We have 2,880 inner children. So go ahead and connect into your body. I find it much easier to do this with eyes closed. And just notice, if you would, as you do so, you might have a sense of shimmering or vibration. And that is a totally normal thing, and it's your fascial train activating to allow the inner children within to be able to head back to your heart. And I'm going to say some things that I'll have you repeat as you speak to your inner children to encourage them to come home. So imagine these inner children in a beautiful, safe place. And each of you have these 2,880 inner children. And imagine that you can walk up to them and say, hello. I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were here all alone. I came as soon as I heard. I'm you, all grown up. We've survived and we've thrived. Your home is in my heart. Come home to my heart. And show them pictures of you now between the ages of birth and the present day. And as you do so, go ahead and maybe send 6 pictures. Imagine 6 pictures or a dozen, up to you. And when you get to the present day, you can take a deep breath in and let it go. Now ask these inner children if they're willing to come home to your heart. And if they're not willing to come home, if they seem hesitant or afraid, you can ask them if they think that they are whatever your higher power is. Do they think that they are in charge of everything? Or is it perhaps time to let your higher power and yourself take care of them? And usually that's enough to make them shift. And if not, you're going to need to stop the video and just continue in and send love to your little ones until they're willing to come home. And if anyone has some particularly scared ones, please do let me know in an email and I will help you with more suggestions. And I will just say that the hardest ones sometimes to get home are the teenage ones, because of course they think they know better than adults, and they're actually kind of embarrassed of us, of who we are as adults. Sometimes we can be kind of cringy as because we're not cool. So doing the best we can. and are slightly older than teenage states, right? But do whatever the bottom line is. Do let them know that they are loved. They are loved and they are needed for you to become whole. So for those, assuming now that everybody's on board, all of these inner children are on board, ask them to shrink down to the size of a pixie and let them know they can have wings. They might also want to be like little fireflies, shrinking down, and with that glow, heading back home to your heart. Whatever way feels right for you, that's the way it should happen. And just continuing to connect in with that shimmering or vibration sensation as they head home. You might even feel them start to cross into the walls of your heart. And this is the home of the integrated experience that we have. The integrated emotional experience is all held in the neurons of the heart. So just like a mother hen welcoming her children home, welcome all of these little ones in, and then take a deep breath in. And as you release it, send a buttery yellow light to every cell in your body, the color of self-compassion. And as you do so again, take a deep breath in and release this one, sending love to every layer of who you are that cooperated here today. That takes care of that. Let's see, we've got negative energies, so I'm just going to go through and clear those. So connect into your body, sending it love. Okay. So that will do it for today. Remember to practice this. If you want to get specific, the very specific form is to make an L with both hands and to place 2 below the collarbone notch, 2 on the forehead, about an inch above the eyebrows in the center of the eye, lined up with the center of the eye. And it will allow you to discharge the emotional stuff. Now, again, if that's a little too complicated and you're tired, whatever, this is fine. Alrighty, so please do send your questions. I look forward to hearing them and answering them next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.